Friends, to start with, the previous questions given under the topic of income from other sources. The first question, May 94 question, this is relating to the prize money. Explain the taxability of the following transaction. Raja was declared winner in a lucky dip and he was paid cash of 1 lakh as prize money. What is the tax consequence? Friends, the prize money of 1 lakh received by the SC is fully chargeable to the tax under the head income from other sources, and the amount is subjected to a flat rate of taxation of 30%. Then discuss the validity of the following proposition, setting forth the reasons for your answer. Family pension is assessable under the head income from salaries. Answer is no. Family pension is taxable under the head income from other sources. Why it is not under the head salaries is the relationship between the employer and the employee is not there between the payer and the payee. So what we say, it gets taxed under the head income from other sources. There is a problem which is given in 2006 on gift taxation. D. A lady received the following gifts during the year ending on 31/3/2012. What is it, friends? 30,000 from her elder sister, 50,000 from the daughter of her elder sister, 1,25,000 from various friends on the occasion of the marriage. One thing I am sure is 30,000 from the elder sister. Sister is a relative, so not taxable. 1,25,000 on the occasion of her marriage, not taxable. Daughter of her elder sister. Earlier also we discussed, बड़ों छोटों को दे सकते, छोटों बड़ों को नहीं दे सकते मगर it becomes taxable, but in this case it is not taxable because the whole of the aggregate amount is not exceeding 50,000 rupees. So she was able to escape tax on all these three gifts. Then May 2007, again one more question on taxation, gift tax. 24,000 each from 4 friends on the occasion of the birthday. One gentleman got 4 friends and 4 of the friends gave each 24,000, 24,000, 24,000. Whole of the aggregate is exceeding 50,000, so whole 96,000 becomes a taxable is a point. One of the friend gave a wristwatch, 60,000 rupees. Whether it becomes taxable, the answer is no, because in the movable property list wristwatch is not there. But the learned other thinking point here is, show me which wristwatch costs 60,000 rupees. Unless and otherwise some jewelry element is being embedded into it. If an item of jewelry is being embedded into that particular wristwatch, just by giving the name called as a wristwatch, you can't avoid the taxation. Let us suppose out of a great love and affection towards Krishna Reddy, I gave him 2 kgs of the gold on that one watch I kept. Will this become a wristwatch or gold? Gold only, na? So that is the reason why if such a kind of thing happens, gift tax, that is it amounts to gift, and 56(2) clause 7 comes into play. Because all this thinking comes because of the over intelligence on the part of the SCs. Who are over intelligent? Tax practitioners and chartered accountants. When I am discussing this, to my mind one thing came which you should bear to listen, because this is a story to tell how chartered accountants are intelligent. One gentleman wrote a will because his son is a Bevar's fellow, that during the lifetime of my son, this 2 crores worth of the house cannot be sold by him. He can only enjoy the income on this particular property. After the death of this gentleman, that son moved around the different people and asked, can I make sale? Can you give a suggestion? Everybody said, when so plainly it is being written there that it can't be sold, why unnecessarily you are wasting your time? Then somebody told to him that go to chartered accountant, he will give you a very good advice. The gentleman's son came to chartered accountant and receptionist told sir is busy. What sir is doing? From the glass window, this son look at the chartered accountant. The chartered accountant Coolwell is reading the business line. After 3 hours of the waiting, the receptionist went inside and said, sir, somebody is waiting. Immediately chartered accountant said, I am busy today, ask him to come tomorrow. This man, because it is his work, he has gone the next day. Then after 2 hours of the waiting, chartered accountant allowed him to enter. Tell me what is your problem? This is my problem, sir. Purchase a hat. Kya? I came for your suggestion to make sale of the property and you are asking me to purchase a hat. Do what I am saying. This gentleman came on the 3rd day with the hat. Then he said, make an advertisement in the newspaper. I want to make sale of the hat for 2 crores. The one who purchases this hat will get free that particular building. Your father only restricted you to make sale of that particular building. Your father nowhere wrote in the deed that it can't be gifted by you to anybody. This is what the intelligence of the chartered accountants. Got the point? So never give up. That's the reason why we make you to fail several times. Think even in a very bad situation also some solution will be there for every problem. Who is the creator of the problem? God. Who is the provider of the solution? God. God never created any problems without solutions. Got the point? It is all the patience that you should have to look at the problem and understand what should be the solution. Back to the point. That is, now, car gifted by a distributor of the employer. Here I am not reading the question. Somebody is working as a marketing manager and he received a gift of a car from one of the distributors of the company. Will it be taxable? The answer here is like, car is not something which is stated as the listed movable properties where 56(2) clause 7 will have an application. Then friends, because many questions are on gift taxation only from this particular topic. Even November 2010 question discuss the taxability of the following receipts in the hands of Mr. H. He gets 1,75,000 in cash as a marriage gift from his grandfather. Marriage gifts are not liable for taxation. Received 1,000 shares of B Limited, fair market value is 1 lakh on his birthday 21/4/2011 from his friend Mr. J. Shares are mobile properties and whatever the fair market value is there, that becomes taxable if the aggregate amount is exceeding 50,000, then the whole of such aggregate amount. Received 51,000 from his sister living in UK. Sister is a relative, not taxable. Wristwatch valued 60,000 from his friend, again the same. That's where in the CA exam there is a repetition. That's where I always ask the students, any amount of your study, completion comes only when you go through the previous suggested answers. Because then only you will be knowing what you have studied, how to put it from the examination point of view. Recently I heard from Akkineni Nagarjuna, big time hero of Telugu industry. He said, many times films gets failed just because of the fact that we make the film for 1 year, but in the last 15 days there is a lot of rushing up. We don't see the preview before release, unfortunately. You first see the preview of what you have done. Then if you are satisfied, definitely viewer also will get satisfied. So the most important thing is, before you go to the exam, first you test yourself before you being tested by the institute. What is your preparedness for the exam? The testing process happens only when you go through the previous suggested answers, previous questions. Back to the point. Property sold for inadequate consideration. Earlier also this we have studied when I explained the capital gains topic. If property is transferred for inadequate consideration, 56(2) clause 7 will not come into play. Because properties given without consideration will only be immovable property, given without consideration only will get attracted to 56(2) clause 7, but not the immovable properties given for inadequate consideration. Once inadequate consideration comes into play, 50C comes into play, but not the 56(2) clause 7. Then friends, I have got 1017A exemption. On the basis of that, one chartered accountant is there, he got one award instituted by the central government and he received about 51,000 rupees. See, if you are receiving any gift aggregating more than 50,000 rupees, it becomes taxable. But 1017A says what? Any payment in cash or in kind received in pursuance of an award instituted by the central or the state government would get exempted. On the basis this becomes exempted as a point. See, awards, in case if you are a professional and getting award, then it's a professional income, and if you are a non-professional, then it will be falling under the 56 subsection 2 clause 6. So in this case he is a professional, received an award, definitely is a professional income, but since the award is being constituted by the government, 1017A comes into play. Then another question, Supreme Court judgment in VP Gopinath, that is, he has got an FD, on that he has taken a loan, and that interest he is asking the assessing officer to allow it as a deduction against the interest income which he got on FD. Earlier also we discussed, if loan is taken to put the FD, then interest on such loan is allowed. But against FD, if you take a loan, that interest will not be allowed as a deduction against the interest income, is a point to be well remembered. There is another question where, of course I am not reading the question, concept I am explaining. There is a delayed payment of the compensation, and for 4 years they have paid interest for the delayed compensation. It becomes taxable under the head income from other sources. 50% of that will be allowed as a deduction under section 57. Interest allowable, but penal interest is not allowed. If there is a delay in making the payment of interest, interest on interest will not be allowed as a deduction. Then friends, already I explained this. A company deriving only interest income has no other source of income during the year. It claims expenditure by way of salary and staff and office maintenance. On what grounds you would support the claim? Friends, try to understand. Here, if the company don't have any other income except the interest income, unless maintenance of that office, payment of salary are made, it is not possible to run the company. Unless the company is running, the interest will not accrue to it. So all these administrative expenses and all can be well allowed to be deducted. There is another attaching question here. What is that question is, there is a chartered accountant. Somebody gave him 10 lakhs of the money for making the payment of the taxes. Since the return is not completed, this gentleman deposited this particular money in a bank, in his savings, in a separate bank account, and there he got the interest. Will this interest become taxable as his income or the client's income? The answer is only in a fiduciary capacity, chartered accountants will be receiving the tax money from the clients. Temporarily they may deposit that particular money, but that income belongs to whom? To the client only. He is the beneficial owner of it, so he has to pay the tax on it, not the chartered accountants. See, clubbing provisions. Point is, like, I gave some money to my wife. My wife invested that money in a private limited company. Later on, she took the loan from that private limited company, attracting 222E. Now, will that deemed dividend will be clubbed? Yes, it will be clubbed. Because if you are giving any amount for inadequate consideration or without consideration to the wife, then any income arising from investment of such money will also be clubbed. Even that principle applies even for the deemed dividends also. I borrowed the money and invested in the company shares. I got the dividend income. Will this interest on the borrowing will be allowed? The answer is 14A comes into play. Against exempted source of income, it will not be allowed. Because dividend income is exempted under 10 clause 34. So against an exempted source of income, you can't claim any expenditure. Some disaster happened. Government paid the compensation to the grieved family. Will it become taxable under 1010 BC? That is, any compensation on disaster is exempted, so accordingly it becomes exempted. NRI bonds, and they are getting the income. Will it be taxable? No. Under 10 clause 15, interest on notified NRI bonds will be getting exemption. Conditions for claiming the exemption is that bonds must be purchased in foreign currency, and interest and principal received in respect of such bonds must not be taken out of India. Non-repatriable basis है तो वो interest income को हम 10-15 में exemption दे रहे हैं. Income arising to Sikkimese women. Government has got lot of love towards the Sikkimese women. What is stated is, like, as per section 10 clause 26 AAA, income from any source in the state of Sikkim or income by way of a dividend or interest on security which comes to the Sikkimese woman will be exempted, provided Sikkimese woman marries the Sikkimese man only. However, aforesaid exemption will not be applicable in case Sikkim woman marries a non-Sikkim individual on or after 1st April 2008. Too much. Then, deemed dividend taxable even if loan repaid during the year itself. Already we discussed this point. That is, on a loan being given to the shareholder holding 10% of shares carrying 10% of the voting power, if there are accumulated profits, deemed dividend will come into play. But if the shareholder is going to repay the loan, will it reverse the situation? No. That is, even if that loan is repaid, 222E provisions will come into play, and on such deemed dividend, shareholder need to pay the tax. Even if loans are indirect loans, also, what is it, to the concerns where the shareholder is having substantial interest, or to the persons who are going to apply for the benefit of this particular shareholder, even if the loans are given, the deemed dividend provisions comes into play. One more time they asked the question, deemed dividend taxable even if the loan repaid during the same year itself. That's what. Loan repaid is not going to help in any way to get out of the 222E is a point. Family pension received on the death of army man, 10 clause 19 says, on the death of the army man, if the family gets pension, then that will get exempted. Deep discount coupons. See, company issued a deep discount coupons to its shareholders, which entitled them to purchase the products of the company at a discount. A Singh officer feels that it is a disguised dividend. What are the arguments for and against such treatment? See, to the shareholders, deep discount coupons are given. It is an indirect way of siphoning off the money from the company. So, that will be taxable is one view. Another view is, all people, even if you give deep discount coupons, unless they like your products, they don't come and avail that particular benefit. So, there is no question of taxing the deep discount this thing. So, arguments in favor of treating it as a tax is what? Discount coupons are issued to the shareholders only on account of their shareholding. Therefore, the value thereof is nothing else but part of the return on investment of shares. So, the gross sales of the company are getting reduced because of they using the deep discount coupons. So, accordingly, it should be taxable in the hands of the shareholder. Against argument is, even if you issue the deep discount, there is no question that all will avail such particular benefit is a point. These are the few issues which we have, but after studying the previous answers, one thing that makes us very clear is there are only two aspects which you should concentrate very heavily in the topic of income from other sources once you are preparing for the final. One is the dividend taxation and another is the gift taxation. Thank you.